And good afternoon to everyone. And it is a warm day where I am. Hopefully, you're having a nice afternoon. And hopefully, we can make this a bit entertaining and fun for you. And hopefully, you'll take away some things that you can go back to your respective activities and integrate Energy Star in designing to achieve energy performance goals. And so, let's get started. So, I've been in the industry for a really, really long time and we have a bit to unpack today. But I'm really excited to see that people are now beginning to make advances of linking design performance metrics with their operational goals. So, to get us started, I am going to do a poll question. And this one we won't see in live time because you have to write a brief answer. But what do you want to learn from this webinar? What do you hope to take away? And then Nair is going to read them out a little bit later. So hopefully, as I go through the presentation, I can hit on some of those requests or those ideas that you have uh, requested. So the agenda today, we're going to understand what the new criteria is for design to earn Energy Star recognition. And if any of you all were on with us last month, we talked about that, what we were going to change and how we were going to change it. So I'm going to give you the update on that. The next one is learning about performance-based targets for setting design targets or design targets, yes, that align with your performance goals. The next one is integrating Energy Star into the building life cycle. And then, of course, at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A for the audience. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about Energy Star and design. Most of you all know us for existing buildings. And this is when I wish we were in person that I could ask you to raise your hands to find out how many of you all have actually used this or know that it even exists for design. So if you don't, you'll learn. And if you do, you'll learn some new things. So, what is Design to Earn the Energy Star? Why did we make this up? Design to Earn Energy Star is our way of recognizing energy efficient, um, cost efficient, and emission prevention for new construction and major renovation projects in the U.S. It's actually designed to be the first step in the process and moving forward to earning your Energy Star certification. Well, why did we do this? Well, we figured out that the metrics for design in most cases and the metrics for existing buildings were completely separate. So we made this connection to help people be able to use their design targets to meet their goals. So, what did we change? We are going to increase the design score for Design to Earn Energy Star starting August 26, 2024. And it will require that you now receive a score of 80 or higher as opposed to 75 for your design's estimated total annual energy for all commercial new construction and major renovation projects. So, hold on. I am getting things here. Okay. So, with that being said, the reason why we did this is because we really want to encourage deeper innovations and efficiency measures to lower the demand for energy and greenhouse gas emissions, and putting these buildings on track with the U.S. government's goal for net zero emissions economy wide by 2050. We also increased the score above the existing buildings because it's an opportunity during design that may be cost prohibitive in existing buildings, especially going back on a brand new building and having to do retrofits. It also takes advantage of design for clean energy technologies and strategies. For an example, there are a lot of technologies that are now coming online that you can use for commercial buildings that weren't there, say 10 years ago, that will take advantage of this. And it also provides a target for putting these buildings on path to meet or exceed your building performance standards, earn Energy Star certification for the next generation, for the next gen project that we have, and other industry standards and goals. And the reason why the date is so specific, someone asked me, oh, do you want to make it not so specific? But the reason why is that twice a year we do upgrades to Portfolio Manager with the biggest one usually occurring in August. So this is going to be a part of the update for the next group of upgrades for Portfolio Manager. And I think I have to switch over. Are you advancing, Naya? Am I doing it? Somehow we're out of sync here. It looks
You
like
should be able to
it,
advance.
it, okay, good. It defaulted back to you. Okay, so thank you. So the next part of this is the criteria for design to earn. The score is changing, but not the general criteria. Buildings still must meet the eligibility requirement to receive a 1 to 100 design score from Portfolio Manager or Target Finder. And it's still going to be based on the property type, office, K-12, warehouse, data centers, etc. And I'll show you the list in a second. Property use details. You have to give your best estimate on what you expect the building or how you expect the building to operate. Don't use the defaults because it will not accept it with default values in there. And then the other one is the energy use data for all fuel sources and for whether it's electricity, renewables, natural gas, etc. So those things did not change. And the next one are the space types that are available. And I'm not going to read them. You can take a quick gander at them. I'll leave it up here for a second. But if you notice, there's a little disclaimer at the bottom. You'll see the asterisks beside some of them. Those are ones that can get a score, but they're not eligible for certification. And then you notice the multifamily has a different set of criteria. So if you're doing multifamily, be sure to go to the residential and look for multifamily new construction so that you can follow the criteria for that. And then the other part I wanted to make note of is that when you put in the estimated annual energy use, it should be for the whole building, all the whole site annual energy use, and it must include all energy associated with operating the building. And I'll talk about the codes here in a second. You notice that it says to put in your regulated loads, heating, cooling systems, lighting, fans, etc. Elevators, which in some codes, elevators are not part of it, but they do use energy. So you need to do an estimate to calculate those. And also non-regulated loads, which are plug loads, cooking, process loads. Oftentimes those are not required in code. In order to get your Energy Star to be meaning, your Energy Star score and metrics to be meaningful, you need these things because it is going to compare your estimated design to actual buildings. And so if you don't put in the whole energy profile, you'll get a score. It might look kind of good, but it may not be real because you really need to put those things in there. And so I like to say that this complements code. I get the question many times, well, if I get an Energy Star score or if I'm 30% better than code, what's my Energy Star score? Well, my answer is always it depends because what I have drawn up and the strategies I chose and how I chose to evaluate those percent better than code, which is a cost-based analysis, is different from the next person in the room. So therefore, your 30% better than code may be different than my 30% better than code because I use different strategies and technologies. Now, of course, if we're in different regions and you're doing cost-based, you know it's going to change then. But let's just say we're both in Colorado and we're doing the same design, it may be different. So what I like to tell people is you have two different metrics. You have your code performance and you have your Energy Star, which is whole building. These two metrics together can help to inform design decisions as opposed to trying to squeeze them in a box and make them be in there together. They don't work that way. So just keep that in mind. Energy Star is another metric to help guide you with your decisions on your design strategies. And you can also look at cost as well. That is also one of the numbers that it will output if you decide to look at the cost of the energy that you're using. Okay. So all of that being said, at the end of the day, you can apply for the Design to Earn Energy Star, and that will indicate that this project is intended to operate at a certain level. And this is great for, I know developers have used it to entertain or to attract new customers or who they want to sell their buildings to. And also in these policy making activities, it's beginning to be a beneficial and a meaningful way to help people set targets for their to meet their BPS goals. And I'll say BPS, and that stands for Building Performance Standards. My ex-boss really gets on us for using acronyms, but I know we all throw them out. But I'm gonna try not to use them. But if I slip up, that's what that stands for. And then the document on the right side is the how-to, and it goes through all of the steps to apply for Design to Earn Energy Star. And the document will seem kind of dense because it gets into the nuance, but it's pretty straightforward. You get a score, you sign the document, and you submit it to EPA, and that's it. And we will review those projects, and if we have questions, they'll get back with you. So it's like a very, very straightforward process because the information you put in Portfolio Manager or Target Finder is going to be what your score is, and that's what we're going to base the information on when we evaluate it. So next, these are just a couple stats from our projects that have achieved Design to Earn Energy Star, and it's cumulative over the years, and it's been going on for about 20 years. But I want you to pay attention to the number that says average Energy Star design score is 90. And I'm going to bring that up a bit later, why I'm pointing that out. Most of the projects now do score above 80 or 80 or above, but we really wanted to raise it up to 80 and take it out of 75 to distinguish new construction from existing buildings. And this only applies to new construction, commercial new construction, and major renovation construction for commercial projects. It does not apply to Canadian buildings. It does not apply to Energy Star plants. It does not apply to existing buildings. So make sure you understand that, and I'll repeat it again because everybody will call up, oh, they're changing the score for the existing buildings. No, that's not what's happening. So just make sure you note that. So the next one, we're going to go into getting to 80 and goals and talk a bit about strategies to increase energy efficiency, what that does to your design score, how it helps you reduce energy and CO2 emissions, and of course, setting these targets to meet your goals. So I am going to take a break and let you guys answer another. Oh no, my poll question is not there yet. Oh, I'm ahead of myself. Sorry. I was going to let you all answer another poll question, but it's not there yet. So getting to 80 is not so scary. I've been doing this for quite a while. I have some projects and some groups I've worked with, and they consistently been able to get scores above 80. And not only were they able to score above 80, they benchmarked and they could earn their Energy Star, and they were over 80. So there are people who really have this down to a science. And it works well with buildings that replicate themselves because you can take the information that you learn from designing a building, let's say a K-12 building or developers who do a lot of office buildings, and look at what you did and then learn from those and then use those as lessons learned for the next project. So this chart is showing a project that was submitted for a school. And I believe it might have been, no, that's natural gas and electricity, grid electricity. So what I did is I took this project and I said, okay, let's take it and let's increase the efficiency. Let's go 20% better on the energy efficiency than what this project had. Then I started looking at the score and the distribution of source energy, site energy, cost, and the emissions, and played around with it. So the next slide, and this is where I need my pointer, is going to show you what happened. I actually had this in 4 slides, but now I kind of truncated them and let me get my pointer out again. There we go. So what happened here? So looking at the same project with different energy efficient strategies and fuel mix. This is how you can use the tool to compare various trade-offs early in design. It also shows how different strategies affect EUI, emissions, and costs. Of course, 100 has the best score. I mean, of course, the solar has a score of 100 and the best score, and cost and emissions. There's no cost associated with it based on what comes out of our tool and no emissions. And then, but the lowest EUI, if you notice, is here, 27.8. This one is 35.2. This is site EUI. This one is 27.8. And then this one is 35.2. So why is this EUI not the same as this EUI? And see, if I was in person, I could ask you all this and ask you to raise your hand. The reason why it changed is because on this one, I went and I gave it a 21% reduction in energy use by going with more efficient strategies. I added in some high efficient heat pumps, some fans, and did a few tweaks to the modeling for the HVAC and remodeled it. And so, therefore, as a result of the increased energy efficiency, it dropped my EUI. So, these are some of the things that when you run analysis and samples and run your projects through Target Finder, I like to do them through Target Finder when I'm doing these analysis because it's fast and I don't have to save the project, but you can do it in Portfolio Manager as well. These are some of the comparisons that you can get. And then also with that lower EUI, look at my score. I went to 91. Now, I also added a bit of solar in here. So I have 17% solar and what is that, 83% grid electricity. So with a mix of that, I got a score of 91. This one was 100% grid with high efficiency, the same efficiency for this one, a score of 87. So, and then this is the grid, and this was the original project. That was a score of 88. So you can see they're kind of close. And then the median building, of course, is 50. And then you can look at the deal. I had to do some math, you see, times 1,000, times whatever, because BTUs are really teeny little things, and the bars would go way off of the chart. So I had to truncate them so you could see it. So you can see all of the Energy Star scores there and how they line up. So these are just some of the things you can look at. Okay, so moving right along. So this is really exciting. My boss, Cindy Jacobs, went to AIA last week because they announced that she's been working on this. And it actually are getting to what we've been preaching. I guess that's probably not the right word, but encouraging people to do for the last 20 years. And that is how do we get to these buildings, these zero emission buildings? And again, what I just showed you, looking at renewables, on site renewables, reducing our fossil fuel use in buildings where applicable, let's see, efficiency and your technologies, et cetera, are going to get you there. So I just want to show real quickly some of the highlights from this. And I highlighted the things that I wanted to speak about, and the other ones are kind of grayed out intentionally just to keep your attention from trying to wander there. So the first thing is the criteria energy efficient. And the criteria aligns very nicely with everything that we have done or been doing at Energy Star. Energy efficient, free of on-site emissions, using renewables where applicable, and then powered solely by clean energy. And that's something as time go on, we'll get more and more clean energy through the various ways that we receive our energy and where we receive it. And then on the implementation, it actually has designed to earn to achieve an Energy Star score of 90 or higher. And that's why I said, remember that 90 score. So right now in 24, our average score is 90. Now, of course, that changes because it's over the life of all of the buildings that are in there, but it's shown that over the years it has gone up because I remember when it used to be maybe around 78 or something like that. So these designs are getting more efficient. And then lastly, under documentation and verification, it says whether to accept data directly from building owner or operator or require the data be verified by a third party certified licensed professional. That goes right in line with the way Energy Star certifies its existing buildings and design projects. It's reviewed by a licensed professional. They sign off, building owner signs off, and then that information gets submitted to us, and that's how we award the recognition and certification. And then the documentation format, it says they would pick that out. But we have this nifty little thing called the Statement of Energy Design Intent, which I'll show you a bit later, that can really work with documenting the information quite well. So now I'm almost ready for my next poll question. So we're going to move on to performance targets, energy codes and Energy Star metrics, and what do they all have in common and how do they share information? So currently most BPS are focused on existing buildings, but guess what? That new building will become an existing building and be held to these requirements. So why not consider these targets during design? This has been the focus of Energy Star, as I said earlier, for 20 years, and why we created design recognition, and that is to connect design aspirations with operational performance. Now others begin to jump on board with this concept. The building code professionals are investigating how to better align codes with building performance standards. And there's a whole committee that's been put together by Department of Energy, and they're working on this as we speak. And there are other areas that actually are looking at performance-based codes in some jurisdictions. But until we get that, at least we do have metrics that can help you understand where you are during design and how it's going to help you move to reaching your BPS goal with using these Energy Star tools. Excuse me. So now my poll question is here, and I am going to let you guys answer the poll, and I'm going to put myself on mute and take a little swig of water. But before I do, I'll read it for you. Are you in a jurisdiction with a BPS or have a requirement to meet an energy target for commercial new construction projects or existing commercial buildings? And you have 5 answers. Yes, I have one for commercial new construction. Yes, I have one for existing buildings. No, not now, but on the horizon for either. And then it's no for new construction and no for existing buildings. So I will let you guys take a second or two and I'll be right back with you. Okay, it looks like that we have a lot of no's for existing, no's for commercial. A couple have a yes for commercial new construction. A couple have existing and no, but on the horizon. So I'm really surprised. I thought more would be on there, but this is interesting to know. Things that we talk about and think everyone's on to, it's not necessarily always the case. So let's move right along. So the next one is a quote that I found from one of these documents, and the source is down there in the bottom if you want to see who it is. But anyway, I'm going to read it. As state and local governments pass building performance standards, architects and engineers who use energy codes as the primary energy related regulation will need to also focus on designing and delivering energy efficient, low, zero carbon emitting buildings to meet local BPS targets in addition to meeting code requirements. So that's what we've been talking about the entire time, and how to align these metrics, what metrics can help you get there. So hopefully, as we move through, and I'm going to continue to describe things, this will make sense and you'll be able to use these things, use these metrics. So this I went on the internet and also from materials that have been shared with me from our state and local partners or my colleagues who work with state and local partners. And so here are a few of the initiatives regarding building performance standards and benchmarking requirements for existing buildings. Many require that you document the information in Energy Star Portfolio Manager tool or set targets to meet the BPS requirements. Some even mention Energy Star Target Finder. Also, there's some to talk about outcome-based codes and the Energy Star National Median Table. So we're going to show you how to use these Energy Star tools and resources to set goals in design and to align with your performance goals. And if you look at this, I have my little pointer. This one right here is little teeny writing, but it says to do this through Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Same here, same here. So why are you not looking at design and lining up your design goals? And then this guy, he was a CEO, I believe this was out of Colorado. He said he also emphasized the importance of metric alignment and making sure that the metrics using codes and BPS are similar. This is what we're talking about. And then this one says Let's see which part I want to read. The codes. Oh, here we go. The outcome-based code, energy codes are a strategy for code compliance to look at buildings' actual energy use as a metric rather than traditional prescriptive or performance approach. And it goes on to talk about the budget and so on. And then this one I got from Colorado, and these are like little EUI targets. And these are ones in 2030. Guess what? You can go in Target Finder and Portfolio Manager and get your own EUI targets specific to your space type. So let's continue forward. And then here's another one. The energy model of the proposed design may be used to estimate post-occupancy energy performance relative to the BPS target. For example, if BPS compliance is based site energy use, projects can compare the energy use of the predictive model to their BPS target. You can do this in Target Finder, not Target Finder, but Portfolio Manager today. And I'm going to show you in a bit what it looks like. And then I have one more to share, and then I'll get off of these. But if the building performance BPS compliance is based on an Energy Star score, projects may enter the use of the predictive model into the U.S. Energy Environmental Protection Agency Target Finder to confirm the expected compliance outcome. The prospective model may also be used to inform design to select low energy design strategies or alternatives to help projects comply with the BPS. And if you notice, I talked about that a little earlier, how you can use Target Finder to do these trade offs. And this is why Target Finder was created in the first place. Um, in 1999 is when it was created, and it was and I was my the engineer was not quite convinced about the tool. He was skeptical, but I pressed on him, and he was able to put together the algorithms. And it was like we used to have the benchmarking tool back in the day before it was called Portfolio Manager. So I said it was like the inverse of the benchmarking tool, and so that's how it was created. So and it lives on. And then from all of this, we were able to come up with best practices after working with our partners and other people who have been involved with using these tools for design from the beginning. We were able to come up with some things that work well. And one is setting the targets early in design, and then also modeling energy for the anticipated performance of the whole building early and throughout the process. Use Energy Star metrics to supplement or complement your code requirements. And then let's see what else I have here. Okay. Okay. And so I always like to use the example that the codes will tell you what to put in the building, will tell you whether or not you got there, whether or not you achieved the goal. Once you put the people in, turn the building on, it's like, how does this building perform? Because every building can be energy efficient if there are no people in it. So we have to get that performance piece to help us understand how we're going to move forward. And then the architects, owner, tenants, developers, they all collaborate on these goals. And by looking at them early in design and getting the core group, and I mean, I know you know about integrative design, people meeting early, setting the targets, getting all the players involved. This is what helps you to reduce your costs in the long haul, get the goals and get them to work, and be able to achieve your outcomes. And then one of the other things is that you should include your energy performance targets in your RFPs, your request for proposal, and in your contract documents. And oftentimes it's in there, but it's kind of willy nilly. And I'm going to show you how we can help you with that as well. So you include whole building energy model results with property use details in Portfolio Manager. And I say that because later on you can come back and look at that stuff. So we'll continue forward. So here's the specification language for pursuing energy efficient goals for commercial new construction projects. And we wrote this document. It lives on our web pages, and you can go download it. It's a Word document, so you can go in and manipulate the language and use it for your purposes, but it explains how to talk about and put Energy Star in the mix. Oftentimes, I'll get documentation or someone will come and say, "Oh, we want to do this," and I read it, and it's a little out of kilter the way it's described. So these documents will help you understand how to say it, the appropriate way to say it. So hopefully this will get you to your end result. Okay. And then the Energy Star tools and metrics I mentioned earlier. And then one of those documents I got off the web that talked about the national median, EUIs. This is a technical document that exists on our website that often I know some of the state and local uses it and various people. And then here are the suite of tools. And everybody probably have heard about Portfolio Manager, Target Finder, but we have a couple other ones in there as well. And one is the Building Emissions Calculator, where you can go in and regionally get emissions targets. I know there's certain jurisdictions that look at these emissions for their area, so this is very helpful for them. And then the Portfolio Manager Data Explorer is another way you can go and get and set targets. And this is based more regionally, so you can go and pick out your state, your city, and then go in and see what an EUI target looks like, say for a school or office. And these are all based on information that's in Portfolio Manager that's been scrubbed, verified, and cleaned up so that we have some um, confidence that the information has validity. Okay. Now, are we coming up to another poll question? Yes, we are. So we're going to look under the hood a little bit. But before we do, I have another poll question for you. So this one is pretty straightforward. Have you ever used Energy Star Tools, Target Finder, Portfolio Manager, Data Explorer for that matter, to establish an EUI or energy use target for your design project? Yes, no, and no, but I want to learn more. So we'll see what people have to say. And and I guess there's a no answer. Come on, guys, talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking. I have a no answer. It's 26 with no answer. And then I have no, but want to learn more. I have 9. I have 2 with no and 4 with yes. Please answer. It helps us out. And you don't have to reveal yourself. I don't know who are answering. Okay, now let's go to the next one. So Target Finder is an online tool that does not save information, but it mimics the information in Portfolio Manager. And what's cool about it is you can go in and put in your information really quick. You can get a target. You can put in your estimated energy use and get a score or compare it to the median property. And I'll show you a bit more in detail. And then also if you're working on something like, oh, this is making sense. We really want to, come back and look at this. You can save it to Portfolio Manager and it will give you in your results table your energy consumption for your estimated or your consumed energy use for source site and it's weather normalized. And of course, you can get an Energy Star 1 to 100 score for those properties that are applicable, or it will show you a percent better than the median. And then it gives you your greenhouse gas emissions for indirect, direct, and total avoided. Next, you can I'm gonna finish it off with Portfolio Manager. And these are some of the features in Portfolio Manager. It does all of the same things that I just showed you with Target Finder. The only thing it saves it in your data in a secure location. You can track green power purchases, create custom reports, share and transfer report data, track changes over time, water consumption, waste management. And I want to talk about this share and transfer information. This is really important because as we talk about BPS targets or things that you want to catalog from design, if your architect gets started, the architect of record submits a project for design to earn, then they can take that information and transfer it to the owner. And then the owner can share it back and put in all the information. Then the architecture firm gets to see how their projects are performing, and then the owner also have access to what happened in terms of their design estimates. Okay. And so here we go. We're going to look at the tool really quickly. Normally I do this live, but I'm going to do it in a series of slides. Next one, we'll create the live version. So you go into the portfolio manager tool and you have a thing called My Portfolio, and it lists all of the properties for your building. And I'm going to give a shout out to Loudoun County Public Schools, who have a public facing site, and they give me the password and their username, and you can go in. I can't change anything, but I can just look at stuff. And what's nice about it is that it has real properties instead of My Portfolio with all these fake properties. So this actually shows you real data. So it gives you a sense that what lives here. And you have two toggles right here. One is for energy highlights, and the other one is for design scores. And if you notice, it has all of their Energy Star scores, site and source EUIs. So it's a nice little catalog of their activity. And then you go to the next page, and it has, I selected the design scores, and it has their design scores, which we need to go and fix some of these. And then it has their site EUI for the design and the source EUI for the design. And then when you go to My Portfolio, you can do a few things. One is you can choose, I'm going to go back real quick. You can choose a property that you want to take a look at, or you can create a new property. And in this case, when you create a new property, you have to go in and you put all the information in about it. You have to put the location in, the zip code, because that's how it does the analysis and picks up the data. And then you put in your property use details, which are here. And then all of the ones with the little blue stars beside them, these are things that are going to affect your energy use in the calculation of your score or percent better than the median. And then these are your defaults. If you're in Target Finder and you just want to get some quick looks, you can hit your defaults. However, I do suggest that you best you can estimate how many people are going to be in the building, how many hours you think it's going to operate as opposed to using defaults. Although some of the defaults might be pretty right on. So use your wisdom and your knowledge to get your best results. So then you move on, and I don't know how many of you all have done this, is that you have this little thing over here. When you get a building, you pick out this building, and then you get this, and then you get the design tab. Probably many of you all probably never even looked under there, but we're going to look under there and see what's there. So the next one, you go, and that's what's under design tab. And that's what's going to display when you press that button, is this page. And as you can see, it gives you, and this one, I'm setting a target. So I have no energy use in there. So it's not going to tell me that I've achieved design to earn or any of that, because I'm just looking at a target. And then over here, you get your target information. So for your design, you chose an 80, then it's going to give you the EUI, site and source, total annual energy, your emission, your energy cost. If you put a figure in there, it'll give you that. If not, it'll default to your regional information. And we update those usually annually. And then it'll also give you a mission associated with it. And then there's your 50, which is your average project, your average building. So next one, we're going to actually put in some information. So here I'm showing you, here's their score from their estimated annual energy use. And then it shows you your design project, your target, your median, etc. And then here, which is on the page, if you hit this little guy here, it'll open up another, that page where I showed you put your property use details. It'll open that page up, and then you get to put in your estimated energy use here. So in this case, they had grid, they did MBTUs, and they did natural gas MBTUs. They put these figures in, and that's what they did. And then they didn't put any costs, so they let the tool estimate the cost for them. And that's what's under your design tab when you are getting a target. And then here's the statement of energy design intent, which is kind of handy. This you can put with your contract documents or other places you want to document your intent. And it has 3 sections. The first one is a summary of all of the data you entered in the portfolio manager. And this data is not filled out because I didn't go and grab it out, but you can grab out under your contacts the architect of record, the owner's name, and all of the pertinent people that you need, and it will populate the form for you. And then this is the other part of the summary. And the second page or the second part is kind of like a cheat sheet to confirm that you answered and what you put in here is what we need in order to calculate your score. Like, is the building operating? Did you use put in all of your best guess estimate of energy use, et cetera, and et cetera. And then the last section is like, kind of like, want to know, are you involved in any other initiative, Architecture 2030, LEED, Green Globes, et cetera, et cetera. Or you might have a benchmarking performance target in your jurisdiction. You can put that under other. And then the last page is the bankable part. This is where everyone signs off. You have a place for the stamp, for the verifying professional, signature for the owner, and then a signature for the architect of record. And this document is submitted by the architect of record, not the owner, not the engineer, not the lead person. It's the architect of record. Now, within that, they might be a lead person or whatever, but people will call up and say, oh, where this can we submit it? No, it comes from the architect of record because we want to have some level of accountability. And let's see. And then lastly, in this section, this is the kind of cool part when they talk about being able to track performance. Look at here. Look at what you can get. Design project, design target that you set, your median, and this your operational performance. So then once this building is built and operated and they start putting in their energy use data, it populates on this same little design tab and it's all there together. Actually, I kind of messed up on this one. There's a little cover up over here that was supposed to come off and it'll show you the other bars, but I didn't take it off. But anyway, it would be a set of bars here and then it would have that this goldenrod one would be less than this one because it says that your estimate, your measurable energy was about 20% less than your design. But anyway, you can see it here. And let's see the next one. These targets that you can get from Portfolio Manager and Target Finder can also help you identify and distinguish your decarbonization goals. So when you look at the emissions or when you start looking at renewables and what you're putting in, it also will print those out on the emissions tab. So you can use that to show that you are meeting and moving toward that. And these are some charts that I actually grabbed from Loudoun County from one of my earlier presentations. And this is where in Portfolio Manager, you can create these custom reports and you can go and tell it what you want in a report. And this one, they downloaded a lot of their design energy and existing buildings and mashed them up and put them in an Excel spreadsheet. And then I took the Excel spreadsheet and then I overlaid their design EUIs with their existing EUIs. And you can see in a little graphic here so you can kind of get a sense like, how close did they get to their target. So it's kind of nice that you can go back and look at this stuff a little bit later. And we're just about at the end. A couple more slides and then we'll have a Q&A. And this is from our document that we created called the design guidance document. And it shows you how and when to use the Energy Star tools as you move through the design process. And the design process is very specific. I didn't make this up. This is kind of an industry standard. So what we did is we overlaid with that process that people use when you can use these tools and when it's beneficial and what you get in, etc. And in the design guidance, it goes into more detail. So here you start out pre-designed charrette either tool. A lot of people like to use Target Finder because you're in there, everybody has their laptops. You can sit there and play around and do stuff and change it. It's kind of quick and fun. Schematic is where you're beginning to look at your forms, your siting, all of those things to kind of big picture ideas. Again, you can go in, throw in some numbers, see what you come out. And then development, design development is when you start refining those hypotheses and the strategies you want to use and really start honing it in. And many of you, if you're in the design world, you know that traditionally you do all your stuff and then you do your energy modeling, say somewhere around here. And then you have your form, you have your siting, and you're like, oh, if we had turned the building 8 degrees, we would reduce our energy by like, whatever. Well, it's kind of late because you spent a lot of money doing these designs, right? So really, you want to get at this stuff really early. And then you go back, did you meet your target? Yes, no. And if you didn't, you go back, you make adjustments. If you did, then you can move on to construction documents. And this is where you submit application for design to earn the Energy Star. And then you go on, you commission the building. You construct the building, I'm sorry. And then you commission the building. This is huge, 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 huge. If you don't do this, you're probably going to have to go here and do some things, because you didn't commission the building. So really, you want to make sure that your building is operating as intended. And then you go in, you make sure all the systems are calibrated, they meet all the codes, put the humans in, operate the building, and if it meets your target, you can apply for the Energy Star, and that plaque goes on your building. This is actually a graphic that can be used in your collateral, like your design. You can put in a title block, you can put on things you write about the building, promoting it, etc. And this plaque or this decal can go on the building. And this is a cheat sheet that goes through all of the steps that are in this thing, right? It's like a 2 page or whatever. And it's like you can just use it as the kind of keeping yourself on track. And then lastly, recognizing the best. We are going to, at some point, we want to launch a campaign of some sort. We don't know what we're going to call it yet, but right now I just did it as a holdout is getting to 80. And really, we would like to have you submit projects so that we can show people that this is attainable and then to help to move the industry forward with designing and delivering energy efficient buildings. And that does it for me. And now we can do the Q&A. I thank you for your time and participation, and I will look to see if we have any questions to answer.